Relatively calm in the protest zones right now, although the atmosphere is tense after clashes last night. Earlier, some of the protesters took part in flash mobs where groups suddenly appeared to block roads and then quickly dispersed. More serious clashes between protesters and police happened overnight in MongKok, which left 15 officers injured. At the height of the unrest, police put the number of protesters at about 9,000. 33 people were arrested. Liz Yun brings us the chaos from last night.
Tensions mounted in MongKok last night as protesters broke through police cordons to expand the occupation zone. Officers told the demonstrators to stay on the pavement. Protesters held up umbrellas to avoid being pepper sprayed, and police used batons to drive back the crowd. 33 people were arrested on suspicion of common assault, criminal damage, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct in public place, among other charges. The chaos began at around 7 p.m. when protesters occupied both the northbound and southbound lanes of Nathan Road between Argyle and Nelson Streets. About 2 hours later, the occupied area was extended towards Shantung Street. Crowds also gathered in front of Langham Place. At around midnight, police retreated to the junction of Argyle Street and Nathan Road. Protesters reoccupied Nathan Road between Argyle and Dundas Streets and parts of Portland Street and Argyle Street. Some members of the public were unhappy with the continued occupation of the area by protesters.
Well, I'm actually here for an education exhibition this weekend, so we're not actually sure whether this will go ahead or not today because of the protests here. So clearly it is affecting me personally in that way.
This salesperson who works in the pharmacy on Dundas Street said sales have dropped by 70% due to the civil disobedience movement. Protesters we spoke to are worried that the police might carry out a clearance operation in MongKok.
I think the police will do something on Sunday to make sure that everything will go smooth on Monday, as people have to go to work and go to school on Monday, and they have to do something to show that they have a real power in their hand.
The atmosphere was still tense in the early afternoon, with some 20 police officers carrying shields standing guard at the junction of Nathan Road and Argyle Street. Liz Yun, TVB News.
Well, police deployed dogs outside the CE's office to help control crowds of demonstrators who gathered there last night. One officer was hurt when he was hit by a water bottle, allegedly thrown by a protester. One demonstrator was arrested on suspicion of assaulting a police officer. Here again is Joao de Silva.
Demonstrators gathered by the eastbound lane of Lungwa Road attempted to once again block traffic there around midnight. Police officers on standby outside the CE's office across the road immediately stepped in to prevent a reoccupation of the area. The move prompted protesters to run towards Tamer Park. Police urged protesters to stay away for their own safety and that of other road users. Several demonstrators were seen being taken away by the authorities. That angered other protesters. Scholarism's Oscar Lai questioned police motives to take away two of the demonstrators. He pointed out that they did not attempt to take the road and were instead just standing on the side. Shouts of "release them" were heard from the crowds. As tensions peaked, police brought out dogs to help ease the standoff. Also, reinforcements soon arrived on the scene to strengthen police lines. Protesters there said they are angry because the government is not listening to the demands of the people. They say that's why they are resorting to civil disobedience. Joao de Silva, TVB News.
Well, the chief of police is condemning protesters involved in last night's chaos, saying their behavior was neither peaceful nor non-violent. Diane To reports.
It's the first time the police chief has appeared in public since the Occupy protests began on the 28th of September. And he was clearly upset with the way things have gone.
To this protester, you may think that your illegal acts have prevented the police in going about our duties. disrupted our deployment, and even forced us to retreat. Superficially, this may be the case. But let me tell you this. These illegal acts are undermining the rule of law, undermining what Hong Kong always relied upon to succeed. I urge you to think about this. If from now on, the police failed to uphold law effectively, who stand to benefit and who stand to gain? Thank you.
Secretary for Security Lai MongKok expressed his support for the city's law enforcement agency and condemned known radical protesters for coordinating and inciting the clashes in MongKok. Meanwhile, Occupy Central organizer Chan Kim-man said it's strange that it's taken 20 days for the police chief to respond to the public. But he pointed out that the current crisis is first and foremost a political issue rather than a simple public order issue. He added that the major responsibility lies with the government.
Until today is 21 days. And it's very sad to see that even a dialogue cannot be launched between the government and the student. And if the government have any determination to end this occupation, it's not through police force, but by negotiations and responding to the community's demand.
Chan warned in an article published in a local newspaper that the clashes on the streets may have been set up as a trap. He added that he and the other two Occupy Central organizers, along with Cardinal Joseph Zen, will take responsibility for their actions and turn themselves in to the police when this is all over. He said if the charges are reasonable, they may not even hire a lawyer to defend themselves. Diane To, TVB News.
Other news to